Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadan Nabil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And my Professor Zubair was my mentor for a long time. When I was a student, he was also already lecturing. So I must give a due respect to him. And also, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You see, this gold dinar topic is not it's not new. Almost 10 years we have been talking about this. So I will be talking in favor of the gold dinar. Prof. Zubair will be talking against it. He has written an article also against it. Now you see, I like what you are doing. I must congratulate the students for doing this. The reason is, even I always tell my students, don't just taksub, don't just follow a leader or any ideology. You must listen to the opposing statements, so that you can get both points of view, and you make your own decision. That's important. I cannot say I'm intelligent. You cannot say when Prof, the only intelligent person or anything. It's you. 1,000, you will know how to make the right decision. Right? So this is why it's very important what you're doing. Congratulations, okay? Now we are living in a unique times. I'm sure you realize that, isn't it? You see, early 1990s, we saw the socialism collapse. Many of you might have been very young at the time, right? Then 2007, actually, capitalism has been collapsing, right? And I strongly believe in another few decades, maybe within 2 decades, inshallah, it will be a century of Islam. All right, I'll tell you why. Now, you see, major economies are now in distress. Japan, America, Europe, all of them are in a serious distress. They have most of the Nobel Prize winners in economics, they're from those places. Right? So even if all the Nobel Prize winners come together today, and if they don't do the right, this thing is not going to, you're not going to get out from this distress. And we have Arab Spring. You know how the Arab Spring started, right? It's also rooted in economics. Because of the serious inflation, unemployment, started by one brother who self-immolated himself and spread the entire thing that you're observing. And we have sovereign debts. You know what's happening to Greece? Now Italy is in line. Then Spain, Portugal, Ireland, all of them are now queuing up, one by one. The problem of Italy, it is, if you add up problem of Greek, and also the Spain and Portugal all together, the problem of Italy is even larger. So you see what is coming. So we have austerity measures, recession, unemployment, homelessness, everything all together. And we in this part of the world also will be soon facing that. And I've written many times ago, a few years back, that these things are coming. If you have read my book, The Theft of Nations, I've already mentioned these things are coming. Why? Because there's a logical way of reasoning behind why it is rooted in the fiat monetary system. We say the fiat monetary system, fiat means money that's not backed by gold or anything. It is rooted in that. That's why this problem is coming. So what did Alan Greenspan, you know Alan Greenspan, right? He was the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, which is like a central bank of the US. What did he say? He admitted that there had been a flaw in his governing ideology. He said, I had been going on for 40 years with considerable evidence that it was working very well. But the entire thing collapsed in the summer of last year, referring to 2007. Right? What about George Soros? This is reason one, just October 2001. So he was saying, basically the whole thing was the turmoil in America and Europe reminds him of the Soviet collapse. Basically he's telling the capitalism is collapsing. So people ask, Bloomberg asked, so what can we do about the European debt problem? So he said there's a lot of confusion, and I'm also confused. So you see, they are the major players. Everyone seems to be confused, right? And who is suffering? It is the ordinary people. The system has put ordinary people on the defensive. Now this is the Occupy Wall Street protest in Hong Kong. You know, in the US, everywhere, you see? So basically they are saying there's problem in the entire monetary system. So observing all this, you notice that even the Vatican, the Pope, he says that Islamic finance may help the Western banks in this crisis. Go back, look at the Islamic finance. Because they have no solution. When socialism collapsed, there was an ideology, capitalism was still there. So we were able to move to capitalism. Now capitalism is collapsing. So what is the next ideology? Right? The West is actually at a loss. See, this is also a cartoon from Western cartoon. See, all the financial systems, everything collapsing, only the Islamic banking is standing. And one of the bankers asking, how do they do it? The one saying, no interest. No interest, then I'm losing interest, you see. You see, but I will argue that even the Islamic banking of today, it has problem. So when things go down, I don't think the Islamic banking can stand on its own like that, because the Islamic banking is also connected to the others through all this fiat monetary system. The entire system is nothing but accounting entries, double entry accounting entries between all these banks. So if the Islamic bank has a connection to some other bank, and if that bank collapses, it will affect the Islamic banks, because it's all just numbers, nothing that is real. So what is the problem? I've always mentioned these three factors. I said if you have these three factors, we can never have an Islamic system. We will never have a stable economics. It is the interest that exists in the monetary system, the fiat money, and the fractional reserve banking. These three things, they create money exponentially without any backing. Simply growing. I say all of them are riba because it is systematically designed. The Islamic banking only addresses the first one. The addresses the next two. So in the system of during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was some people before that they had in the dinar system but still practicing riba. So that will be this thing. What the dinar will do is that it will solve the fiat money problem and the fractional reserve. Okay? All right? I think I can. All right. All right. Now, you see, this is simply to give you. I always show this diagram. The reason is, Mr. Chairman, you can give me 50 minutes, right? So this diagram, you see, this is I always like to show, because the real economy, the economy where the productive economy, normally grows just almost like a slightly exponential, but almost like a straight line. The monetary sector grows exponentially because of the interest. You know, in the formula for future value is an exponential function. The time value is an exponential function. So you see the money and debt. Most of the money is created in the form of loans. But when commercial banks give out loans, that's how money comes into being. So you will face this. So I always tell the problem that you're observing throughout the world is because of the over-creation of money that creates inflation and bubbles. And bubbles are basically referring to the debt. And when the debt collapses, you find the entire thing coming down like what you're observing globally. And this interest-based fiat monetary system, I say it is the cause of so many things. In the economics, is inflation, disparity in income and wealth distribution, recession, unemployment, crime, even crime levels, because it's related to poverty, right? It creates poverty, conflicts and wars, climate change, related to severe drought, severe flood, and so on. You see, and including destruction of ecosystems. I can relate all these things to the fiat monetary, the interest rate in the fiat monetary system, except the earthquakes and tsunami. You see, I put a question mark there. But if you can prove to me, show me that the climate change has something to do with the earthquakes and tsunami, then I can prove interest rate got something to do with the earthquakes and tsunami also. So based on this fiat monetary system, even the Westerners, Lyndon B. LaRouche, from the Executive Intelligence Review, he says the United States is seen as a predatory nation, looting the world with its control of the World Bank and the IMF through its international financial system, through its rigging of currencies, the value of currencies and so forth. We are living in the United States on what we steal legally because we make the laws that enables us to steal. It's not I'm saying, it's an American, they themselves saying. So I'm just quoting to you. See that? So why? Because the entire monetary system is designed like that. So what we need to do is, these are a few things I've mentioned that what we need to do. The first thing is nationalized banks, that's another thing. Well, we can have another session on that. Why? But those important ones I've put in red color. You need to write off the debts. That means all these people who own the national debt, the individual debt, the government debt, the interest portion got to be cancelled. You require people only to pay principal. That's what the Quran also says. You are entitled to the principal. That's what it needs. You need to write off. The Americans, all in fact, Europe, America, Japan, including the third world, we need to write off the interest portion of all debts. That's the first. Now after that, we have to institute real money systems. The real money systems include the gold dinar. In fact, there are many ways. The barter exchange, you see the LETs, the local exchange trading schemes, there are a lot of community currencies and so on. All these are real money systems. The dinar is one of them. So when I say dinar is one of them, what I'm saying is that we need a measure of value. What is missing in the present monetary system since 1971 when the Bretton Woods collapsed? The Bretton Woods is the last link to the fiat money to gold. So when we say return back to gold, we're not talking return back to 1,400 years to the Prophet ﷺ's time. We are talking about return to just 30 years ago or 40 years ago. The international monetary system was linked to gold until 1971 when the Bretton Woods collapsed. That's the reason why you find so much of problems today, okay? So what is missing is a measure of value. We have kilograms to measure weight, we have meters to measure length, but what is missing is international trade. We need something to measure value when we exchange. That is missing, all right? So, Imam Al-Ghazali says, also Ibn Khaldun in his Muqaddimah also says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created gold and silver as a measure of value. So that is the reason why in Sharia, you find Muamalat, Zakat, Hudud, Mahar, all these rulings based on gold as the standard. I say there's a hikmah behind, okay? And also modern scholars also say so, our Islamic monetary system are based on bimetallic reference. Now, even Sir Isaac Newton, you all know, the one who discovered gravity. He was once the director in the board of directors of Bank of England. There was movement towards this kind of fiat monetary system. He opposed it. So he opposed the fiat monetary system. People asked, why? Why do you oppose? His answer, being a scientist, is a very beautiful answer. In applied mathematics, one needs to define one's unit. So if you say this is a dollar, what is a dollar? If I say this is a ringgit, what is a ringgit? A real thing. That is missing, the valuation, okay? And after all these, up and downs, finally we have Robert Zoellick, the president of the World Bank, in November of last year, 1 year ago. He said, the group of 20 leading economies should consider adopting a global reserve currency based on gold as part of structural reforms to the world's foreign exchange regime. Why do you think he's talking about go back to gold? The World Bank president, right? And this is another professor from Cambridge. He was saying Malaysia can lead the world in Islamic finance by using Islamic principles in creating money. You see? This is from Dr. Papazian from University of Cambridge. What about the Nobel laureate, Robert Mundell? He said more than 10 years ago, gold is going to be part of the structure of the international monetary system for the 21st century. Why do you think he said that? Right? Alan Greenspan, he himself, he said gold still represents the ultimate form of payment in the world. Federal Reserve chairman, you see? So how do we go about doing this? We go about it initially for savings and investment. Today we cannot do. You cannot overturn systems all. You have to convince people, you got to start small. We did this thing as a payment system, initially for savings and investment. You saw outside brothers and sisters selling the gold dinar. So it is not a fantasy. It is reality, right? It is reality. Now people are selling gold dinar and it's going into the people's hands now. Right? Once it goes into the hands of people, then the payment system will come. You just have to wait for it, okay? So initially, it will be for investment purposes. So you see the rise in gold price? You see that? It's an exponential rise, isn't it? From year 2000. Gold's value relative to other things is a constant. A dinar during the time of Prophet ﷺ can buy you a gold. Today also it can buy you a gold. No inflation. So when you price real things relative to gold, it is a constant. But what do you see here? Why the gold price is rising exponentially? It is telling the currency and the international markets, the monetary system is collapsing exponentially. Okay? The gold price is telling you the story of the global monetary system. It is collapsing exponentially. So I always see the next thing I would like to see is that we are not talking about people carry gold in their pockets. Mr. Chairman, when time, you just let me know. I will, okay? When we are not asking people to carry gold in the pocket, we will use all the modern infrastructure. We will use electronic payment system based on gold, because all it needs for the success of this gold dinar venture is that it's not in minting gold, in pricing things in gold. As Imam Ghazali said, as the measure of value. If I sell to you something, let's say this computer for 1 dinar, and if I buy back something, let's say a watch from you for 1 dinar, then we don't need any gold for settlement. You see that? We use it as a measure of value, a stable measure of value. So we are not propagating use of gold as a medium of exchange in everything, but as a measure of value. So we can implement using the electronic payment system. You can have a electronic gold dinar card. We can use your mobile phone. Everything can be used for implementing the dinar system. Okay, unfortunately the dinar Kelantan, I don't know why the picture is not here. So to show you is the reality. The dinar has been minted by the Kelantan government, the state of Perak, 2 more states are coming, and in Indonesia it's been minted. It's been minted by Brunei, Aceh. So it is growing. It's no longer, nobody can stop it now. We can say this thing, it's not because I'm saying or anybody saying, no. It is a natural progression. It's not because anybody is saying. It will go on its own course, and ultimately it will turn out to be the payment system, okay? So you notice this is the dinar of Perak, you see? That is the first coin design minted by Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the first caliph. That is the design of the coin, the Perak, and you can see the picture appears in the one rial. That is the design of the state of Perak's dinar. It is real. And this is the dirham of Brunei. And recently they also issued their dinar, okay? So it's coming. So, Mr. Chairman, I have 5 minutes or 2 minutes? 2 minutes. So let me just jump all these benefits of the dinar. See, look here, I can go one by one, explain each half an hour, inshallah. But I will go to the common objections that people normally give, because that will be normally in your heads. The first thing is the failure of the past gold standard and the Bretton Woods and gold-backed system. Let me tell you, the monetary system is actually a political system. Right? It's a political system. After World War II, when it collapsed, it's not because of the gold standard. It's because of the tax payment issues, high tax payments, and then they destroyed it. But when they went to re-establish the system, they wanted to actually, Keynes wanted it to be backed by gold. He decided the Bangkok. But after the World War II, it was the America which was the dominant power. It was not the British, right? So therefore, the power was with them. They wanted the Bretton Woods. Only the dollar was backed by gold. The rest of the nations, you did not back your currency to gold. But ultimately, in 1971, the Bretton Woods also collapsed, okay? Now, the gold-producing countries are at advantage. People say, South Africa and countries which have gold, they will have more benefit. It's not true, because we are using gold as a measure of value. Let's say in my country I have a lot of gold, you have a lot of, let's say, clean water or vegetation. You take out your economic thing, I will take out my gold, we exchange. So it doesn't matter whether God gives you gold in your land or fertile land or even natural resources, human resource. Look at Singapore. They have no natural resources, only human resource. They can develop. You see, same thing. It doesn't matter whether you have gold or no gold. So price of gold fluctuates. You see just now the graph? The price of gold fluctuates is because it's telling the story of the fiat money that prices it. Gold relative to real things is a constant. There is a strong evidence for that with 400 years of data in a work by a professor called Roy Jastram in his book, The Golden Constant. You can see that for 400 years of data, right? So fluctuation of gold price tells the story of the fiat money. It's not telling the story of itself, okay? Then control and collusion against the gold price by international. Yes, there is some collusion going on, right? In order to suppress the gold price so that it doesn't come back as the monetary unit. But the game is over. You can't keep on suppressing. Now if they try to suppress the price of gold low, China and all countries with huge dollar reserves, they are just waiting to grab them at low price. Okay? So now that game is basically over already. And there's not enough gold to support the volume of international trade. Again, because we are using the gold as a measure of value, all we got to do is just price all our trades and then we net off. And you just settle a small amount. You just need to settle a small amount. So this is also not a problem. Some people say it's difficult to carry gold around. We are not suggesting you to carry gold around either. All right? Even if you carry gold around, it won't be heavy because sometimes the perception we get is that we're going to carry gold like this in a bag, isn't it? But let me tell you, if you have gold by the size of a brick, batu bata, if you have a gold the size of a brick today, it's worth 5 million ringgit. So if you want to build a mahligai, so you don't know how many bricks you need. Each brick is 5 million ringgit. Okay? So you're not going to carry. 1 dinar is just the size of a 10 cents coin. And its value today is almost 880 ringgit. So a 10 cents coin of weight is 800 ringgit. So it's not going to be heavy, don't worry. And security of gold, yes, this is an issue. But in an electronic payment system, you don't need to carry gold around. It can remain in the vault. All payment systems will be settled, netting off. You only settle the differences only. If you need your gold, go to the bank and take it, or better, go to the vault and take it. All right? So, the last, Mr. Chairman, I'm actually skipping a lot of slides. The challenges to implement this, right? The first challenge is the institutional setback. Today, the Muslim world are there, we're not in any, but the gold dinar or gold payment system is not only for Muslims, There are a lot of non-Muslims supporting it because they know this is the right way to go. So don't think it's a monopoly of Muslims. It's not. In fact, the word dinar itself is a Roman. So it's an institutional setback. So if you want to implement gold today, it may be difficult. Right? Even when we saw Saddam Hussein, when he said he's going to price the, when he was going to price the oil, the Iraqi oil in euros, you know what happened to him. And Gaddafi, he was going to sell the Libyan oil for actually an African gold dinar. See? So you know that if you want to start a dinar, this thing, you know that it is against the forces of today, okay? The other challenge is that the legal tender law. What stops the gold from circulating? For example, when Kelantan, when they say we are going to use the dinar as money, it won't work. That's the reason why you notice even our central bank didn't open, it didn't make a noise, isn't it? Because the legal tender law, it says when the ringgit is legal tender, any national currency, paper currency is legal tender, there's a law in economics called Gresham's law. Gresham's law says bad money will drive out good money. So since we have the legal tender law, the paper money will drive out the gold from circulation. So today, gold will not circulate as money so long you have. So we have to somehow lobby and try to relax the law. You cannot overturn, you cannot implement the gold dinar also overturn. You will bring more problem to the economy than solutions. It has to be parallel. It has to be parallel with the existing system. And people should come in slowly. And let them come when things grow. And also there will be possible attempts to fail the system and so on. But those two are the more, the real, in my opinion, those are the real two problems, okay? It is the institutional setup, setback and the legal tender law. And security. Security is not a real problem, I just mentioned to you, right? So, but if there's a political will among Muslim nations, I say it's a bonus. So the implementation of the gold dinar will come from the people. It will come from the people, okay? So, Wallahu alam, and if you have any questions, we'll discuss later. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.